congratulations. England spoke a lot about losing the big moments in this series and Australia winning them. Do you agree with that sort of sentiment, and why do you think Australia was so good at capitalising on those moments where the game was in the balance?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it before, but I think we speak about experience quite a bit. I think that's one of the benefits of experienced players. You feel like you've seen most situations before and you can navigate your way through it, particularly here in Australia. And I think that's really been one of the hallmarks of our team over the last few years. We haven't been perfect, but we've found a way to kind of scrap out a win when we needed to. Particularly, here in Adelaide, it's quite attritional cricket sometimes, and just kind of stuck at it, and someone stood up and been the difference.
Pat, Stuart Broad said a while back that you were the worst Australian team since 2010-11. Marnus, he's taken a satisfaction out of that. Do you take any, having dispatched him 3-0 inside the 3 tests?
I mean, it's great. There's so much hype coming to the series, and you never really know how it's going to play out. So winning 3-0 is hugely satisfying for many reasons, but particularly, I think a lot of the chat before the series is how evenly poised it's going to be, and to win it in straight sets, it doesn't get much better than that.
Particularly just when you consider the various injuries, yours, clearly Josh, Steve was in this test, Wilson's issues, Gaz today. Is there extra satisfaction that the squad depth has been able to get done?
Absolutely. We always talk about you need a full squad to win an Ashes series, a 5 test match series, and again, I think that's one of the things I'm most proud about this group is whatever cricket team I've ever been in, there's always been something that goes wrong at any time, and it's how you deal with that. And this group's just amazing of just cracking on, and what's the job that needs to get done, we'll just go and do it. So there's been huge disruption with some of the players. I missed a couple of games, but the way that Steve can just jump in and it's seamless. Other players who are on the fringe can jump in and be match winners straight away. I think it's a huge credit to Andrew McDonald and the coaching staff and the medical staff that we feel like we've got a big squad that we can draw on.
Did you feel any extra pressure yourself coming into this test, just given you were coming in with no matches and obviously just a couple of months of trying to get yourself right to even play and to execute and deliver the way you did in this match? It must be pretty satisfying.
Yeah, I think if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have been really nervous before going to the game. Even 6 months ago when we were mapping out the prep, before I knew I had an injury, the conversation was whether it was 1 or 2 Shield games. So that was obviously very disrupted, but I think we mapped out the plan was going to give me as much preparation as I could. And I felt like it all went seamlessly. I trained really well, had really good sessions. So coming to this test, I knew that I'd ticked off everything that I possibly could, which in some ways relaxes you as a player a bit. You've done the work. So whilst I hadn't played much, I felt pretty well suited to kind of come in, and I didn't think it was going to feel as foreign after a 6-month break as I said 5-10 years ago. I reckon it would have felt pretty foreign.
And how did you feel coming through day 5 today? And is it unlikely that you would back up for Melbourne? And what further part do you see yourself playing in the series?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I felt great. Just like a normal test match, bowling mid-30s overs. If anything, because I came into the test match quite fresh, I feel like my legs are still decent. Sometimes you're hanging on to some residual soreness from previous games. So feeling really good. As for the rest of the series, we'll wait and see. We had a pretty aggressive build-up, knowing that it's an Ashes there to be won, and we thought that was worth it. Now that the series has been won, there might be a sense of job's done, and let's kind of reassess the risk. So we'll work it over the next couple of days. I doubt I'll be playing Melbourne, and then we'll have a chat about Sydney. But certainly before the series, while the series was live, let's take on the risk and have a crack at it. Now it's done. I think we need to have a chat about it.
Pat, just one about you talked about the squad. Ben Stokes and you were always talking about not being consistent enough, not just in big moments, but across volume of cricket. Could you talk about the Australian system and I suppose its ability to produce hardened cricketers who will be good at repeating their craft over long periods of time out of domestic cricket, and the system the team structure you have in place now?
I mean, I know some of the talk before the series was the age profile of the team. I think that's one of our strengths actually. And the guys who have come in, Brendan Doggett, Nessa, Bo Webster's on the sidelines as well. I'm sure I've missed 1 or 2 here, but they've been the star performers in the domestic cricket for a long time. Whilst it doesn't guarantee performance, that if they do get the chance, they're pretty well suited. And again, I think it does come back down to coaching and hopefully the team environment. They feel like they can be themselves. They don't need to be a different player when they walk in here. We're big on that, championing their strengths and not feeling like they're not being dogmatic about a certain way you've got to play. It's just, you play to your strengths, and you'll have a place in this team. So, yeah.
And just off the back of that, Nathan Lyon obviously doesn't look particularly good for him. How do you feel in terms of, I guess, the balance of the team going forward if you're not going to have him and the type of spin bowler you want to bring in?
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Don't know yet, but seeing someone on crutches doesn't really bode well for a test match a week away. Gazzy's pretty close to irreplaceable, but the ability to take breakthroughs but also control innings is really important. So it's going to be hard to replace, but we've got some guys who have already had a taste of international cricket, around the traps. Other guys have done really well in domestic cricket. I think it's been one of the benefits actually of the Sri Lankan tours, even West Indies, and a couple of these tours where we take a couple of spinners. You always, there's guys that can step in and you feel like it's not going to be too overawing for them, overwhelming.
Sorry, there's so much talk about how England play Test cricket, and just comparing 2023 to here, in different conditions, but there it felt like you had to at times adjust to what they were doing. Like here, was there any focus on just doing what you guys do, considering these conditions so well, and like you're a seasoned team here? Yeah,
absolutely. We know what works here. This week it didn't have too much in it, but most of the time in Australia, you feel like there's a little bit of bounce and swinging. In England, you don't really have much bounce over there, so it's a little bit different. You need to adjust your style a little bit, but we feel like we've got players who have done well here for a long time and they know their own game, so we never really feel like we need to reinvent the wheel. It's maybe the odd fielding change here or there, but we just go about our work pretty similarly to say how we went against India last year.
Can you give us a bit of colour part on the field when you win the Ashes there? How does that compare to years gone by? And you shared, I imagine, they're pretty rowdy at the moment.
Yeah, lots of family in there at the moment, so it's pretty happy change room. Probably dragged out a little bit longer than we would have liked today. Losing Nath, but also they batted quite well and there wasn't much in the pitch, so there's a few tense moments, but got it done in the end. So I think the extra few hours makes it even more satisfying. It's been a huge build-up. You prepare basically as soon as the West Indies series finishes. Everyone goes into how are you going to prepare for the Ashes series to try and win it, and to achieve that in 3 tests. There's a lot of elation, and just everyone's pretty pumped up in there. So good group huddle. It's just that even when they're 9 down, you're like, oh, we still haven't got the 10th yet. So when you take that 10th wicket, it's just like, all right, we're done.
Appreciate it. You won the series 3-0 and you've had individual bats stand up. Is the unit as a whole, though, from a batting perspective, functioning kind of how you wanted, and given the amount of moving parts you've had?
We feel like we've always had moving parts in the last few years through injury or form or retirement. Again, I think it's the ability of those guys to, in different roles, get it done. Trav Head, Alex Carey moving up a couple of spots or one spot this week. Uzi coming back in. So, we feel like we've got enough batters there to choose from. I think this game, there's probably both things. We had a little opportunity to really bat them out of the game and we didn't quite take it, but, it was good enough. Overall, pretty happy. Everyone's got themselves into the series. Most of the team's functioning pretty well.
Do you have any thoughts on Sicko and the controversies here and the path forward? Have you any teams sort of lost confidence in it, and cricket in general, losing confidence in that technology?
The one here seems a little bit different to sometimes what you get overseas. There's always a few murmurs. You're hoping that it matches up. If you're the bowling team, if you don't, sometimes you're kind of just making sure that it's all okay. If you're batting, even though you feel like you haven't hit it. So, it's sometimes doesn't feel super consistent, but you just crack on, whatever the umpire says.
You mentioned now that you've got the series wrapped up, you're probably down from Melbourne, so you go to Sydney. Given the workload that Mitchell Starc and Scott Boland got through the last couple of weeks and the tight turnaround, do you envisage it might be a similar situation for them down in Melbourne? And I guess what kind of attack strain might be that in the MCG?
Yeah, at the start of the series, you always anticipate that you're going to have to chop and change a little bit. Brendan Doggett and Ness were the 2 spare bowlers here. Jai's been bowling the nets as well, and a few other guys, and playing the big bash who are keeping their workloads up, ready in case they're needed. Like always, probably give it 48 hours, see how everyone pulls up. Once the kind of DOMs go away, and make sure there's nothing more sinister there. But at the moment, they both seem good. Good luck to anyone telling Starkey or even Scotty they're going to miss a Boxing Day test if they're fully fit. So, we'll see how that plays out the next few days.
Pat mentioned, all the big moments that were in the test. Just wondered about Martin's catch, and also his reaction and what he said to you guys about.
A couple of catches. That pitch feels like 20 dismissals can be hard to come by, and I think Marnus created an extra couple of dismissal chances there. Just amazing. Everyone knows, everyone hears it on stump like he always wants to be involved in the game, and that's your love. You want 11 players like that. So Smithy, it's it's going to be a fight to get that second slip spot back next week, I think. But just incredible. He works hard on his fielding, always wants the ball, and created 2 quarter chances into catches. Just phenomenal.
I know you said your risk profile in terms of selection for the next game. Okay, the only big given you've won the series, but is there a part of your pack that kind of wants the push from bowling?
Absolutely. Particularly the amount of work I've had to do to kind of get up to speed in Test match cricket. You just want to play everything now. Boxing Day's a huge test. Sydney's a home ground. Huge test. You just want to keep it rolling on, but probably need to be somewhat pragmatic at times. So, we've goal solely on winning this series. So we'll save this for a few days, and no doubt when we get closer to Boxing Day, people start thinking, okay, it would be pretty cool if we can go up 4-0 and hopefully then in Sydney do it 5-0.
That will, I guess, following on from that, you sort of got a couple of different things going there, wanting to wrap up this series, and also you have wrapped it up. So, with any changes, how would you like to see the philosophy go around selection? You've got a big break, and then you're going to have a massive sort of period after that when it comes to Test cricket and other cricket as well. Is it an opportunity to go, right, what's this team going to look like in a year or so, or how do you do it?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, with the bowling group, I think that will naturally happen. If Nath misses out, potentially I miss out, Joshy's not there, I think you'll naturally get a few more games into guys. In terms of the batting lineup, we don't really like to manufacture spots. Just given 2 big home Test matches still at play just for the sake of it. So I'm sure the selectors will talk about that. But we're kind of got a pretty good track record of picking whatever 6 or 7 batters we think are going to do the job for that Test match. And if it's a 50-50 call, maybe you look towards the future, but you're not going to drop someone just for the sake of giving someone a game.
Pat, clearly you've beaten England, but do you feel like in the way you've made them change their approach over the last 2 or 3 innings even, that you've beaten Bazball as well and knocked that stuff out of them?
Look, they seem to have changed their style quite a bit, game to game. I think that can happen in overseas conditions. You're always trying to fight for a method that works. Day 2 I thought was surprising. It was 40 odd degrees, it was hot, it was a very flat wicket, and they shut up shop there for half of the day, which I was pretty happy with. So who knows? I'm sure they'll talk about it and find come at us, with different plans for Melbourne and Sydney. I'm glad that we've been able to, stick to our guns and play the way that we play best, and it's worked.
Pat, the sweep is something that avoided or eluded you 4 years ago. How much of a motivation is it now to join that handful of Australian teams that won Ashes series 5-0?
5-0? I mean, it'd be good. I'll take 3-0, take 3-2. It's the goal is to win the Ashes. Again, you're not going to the Test match not wanting to win, so we'll go to Melbourne and absolutely desperate to win that one, and Sydney. And if you get 5-0, it's amazing. But I can't say that's been spoken about at all. It's always just been about how we're going to navigate our way through to 3 wins.
Pat, you mentioned it got a bit closer today than you would have liked, but is there a huge amount of satisfaction involved in getting the job done? Like, were you having any flashbacks when Nathan Lyon went off to what happened at Lord's last time? This may be the only Test you played, but obviously it made a difference for you to be able to come in this match and sort of get the job done. Like, if England had been able to clamber closer to the result here, I suppose there was a couple of bowlers who may not have been able to back up. So just I guess the lessons learned from the Ashes 2 years ago to get the job done when it was there.
Yeah, no, totally. It went through my head. I remind myself that we won that Lord's Test, even though Nathan was there. I wasn't there. I think I said before this Test, felt like we were managing our bowlers well to have, myself come online, Nath fresh going to the back end of the series, and I was thinking that same point. I was like, okay, a couple of bowlers might come offline here if things don't work out, but fortunately it all did. I think, it was a very calm group out there. We've been in those situations before, and you can't overplay it, you can't force it. In the past we might have tried to create wickets out of nothing, but we felt like we had enough runs and just be methodical, go 2 or 3 and over, and those wickets will present themselves. So I think there was some learnings that played out today.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.